Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be on the transition from mother baby into NICU. If you guys are interested, let's get into the nitty-gritty. While I was in nursing school, it was something that I had always wanted is to work in an ICU. It could be adult, cardiac, trauma. I just wanted more. I felt like I was into that intense care. Not so much like intensity, like if it were between ICU and ER, I don't see myself in ER. I just feel like that's too much like I'm not knocking on any ER nurses, but like a truck stop restroom, like it's just like in and out. Not for me. I like that face-to-face time. I like to be able to have more time with my patients and make sure that they're cared for in a more intensive setting. You know, I used to work and also in the postpartum area, we had women's services. So I would also do like a med surge with women's, and we'd get a lot of patient load there too. And I just felt like I couldn't show my face enough because of how many patients I had. I was just like, you know, care whatever I needed to do, and then I was out the door. You know, it was not so much interaction with the patients and things like that, which I feel like I need. Even though I don't like to talk that much, which is strange. Like, I find that I'm very awkward, so when I put myself in situations where I have to interact with people, I'm kind of weird. But after a little bit, once I've gotten comfortable with the person, then I become more and more myself, and it's easier for me to interact with the people. So right out of nursing school, I was just looking for a job. I was hopeful for an ICU, but I've heard many places don't hire new grads right into ICU. So I said, okay, that's not entirely off the table, but I'm gonna just get my foot in the door. And I really wanted to work for this one hospital in particular, so I took the first offer that they gave me, which was in mother baby. And honestly, I had no intention of ever working with babies. It just wasn't my thing. All my friends could attest to it, that I didn't even like to carry babies. If there was any drool or anything of that sort, or like spit up, I was out the door. Like, that wasn't for me. That this is your baby spit up, that kind of thing. I never was the kind to be comfortable around babies and carrying babies. Just the notion that I would pick up a baby and their head would just flop all over the place, I was like, nah, never mind, not doing it. So I never thought that I would work with babies. So when I went into mother baby, it was like a wake-up call for me, because I didn't even know how to swaddle a baby, carry a baby, nor even change a diaper, because I never had to, and I chose to stay away from that. So it was like I never ever did, and it was just something like I was shell shocked for a bit, and like, not that I couldn't do it, I was just like it's something that I never wanted to do. And it wasn't that I wasn't happy there, it was like I was getting comfortable with it, and it got to a point where I was very comfortable carrying the babies, helping the moms breastfeed, teaching them how to care for the babies, and it became almost second nature for me. But it was mostly just a lot of teaching, which is okay, but I felt like my skills were like going down the drain. Excuse me. Like, if there was ever someone that called for an IV, let's say an IV went bad that came from L&D, or in women's services, a patient that was preparing for surgery, and they would call for IV help or whatever, I would always go, and I would always try so that I can continue to improve my skills, because I felt like in mother baby I wasn't really using any notion of nursing other than literally nursing. Like, it was just like, I'm not gonna knock it, because I was there for a year and a half, and I met a lot of great people there, and it was fun, but it just wasn't for me. It was like I had 4 couplets at a time, which is the mom and the baby. So it was like 8 patients to chart on, 4 babies to make sure that they're eating and peeing and pooping, and that the moms are peeing and farting, and it was just like not for me. I wasn't digging it anymore, and I was grateful for the opportunity that I got. I actually was able to go into this training for higher risk moms, and I like that too, because I had since they were more intensive, I guess, or more critical. The patient load was less, and then I was able to have more FaceTime with the patients. It was more care and more monitoring and more calling to doctors and things like that, but it was more that I was able to be in the patient room more frequently. And that's something that I needed. I needed to make sure that I wasn't that nurse that people are like, oh, she came here once and that was it. You know, like that was never my style, but for some reason when it came to working like that in mother baby, I felt like it became that because you had so many patients. Eventually, you know, if there was one that was kind of coasting or getting ready to go home, you were like, you good? And that was it. You know, like you would do your assessments and other than that, and then it was just like check in on them and see if they're okay, which wasn't my thing. You know, if my license is on the line, I want to make sure that I'm doing the best care that I can for the patients. So the opportunity came to me for NICU while I was doing my leadership rotation, finishing up my BSN. I had done my associates first, and then I was doing my BSN online, and one of the classes required that I did shadow someone in the leadership role, so I was following someone in NICU. It was someone that I was able to coordinate with from my clinical educator to their clinical educator, so we got it together and it worked because I couldn't do it in the same institution, blah 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 politics. So I was shadowing someone there, and I had 4 months. I was doing 4 months there, and I enjoyed it. I was loving, you know, the work environment, and it was strictly babies, and I loved it. Like I loved that it was like 3 babies at a time, maybe 2, sometimes 1, occasionally 4, but like it was just straightforward, you know, very, although intense and very sick babies, you know, it was like educating the parents as to what's going on, or, you know, just strict care in general. And also I found that I didn't have to be so awkward when it came to the patients, because let's say there were no parents at the bedside, I didn't necessarily have to introduce myself in the most awkward way or ask if they're in any pain. Like I could just see by the patient, and they're neonates, so they can't talk. So it was like, not that it was perfect, but I don't know, I just felt like I found my niche. And as I was there, the director of the unit came by and she's like, who are you? And I was like, oh, I'm so and so. I work in mother baby in another institution. I'm finishing up my leadership rotation. And then she was like, oh, how do you like it here? And I was like, oh my gosh, I love it here. It's fantastic. I would love to work here given the opportunity. And she's like, well, let's set it up. And I was like, are you kidding me? You're gonna make my day, like, or my year, or my life. Like, this would be amazing. Like, any intensive care setting, and I'm there, you know? So it wasn't a lie. She was true to her word, and once I finished my leadership rotation, I started there. And I gotta say, it's been the best transition of my life, because I will say this though, being that I came from mother baby, to go from mother baby to NICU, it was a smooth and easy transition, because I had seen well babies, and sometimes I would occasionally work in the nursery, and I would see where babies weren't transitioning as well, or they needed respiratory support, there's issues with their glucose, things like that. And I can see when a baby needs to go to NICU. That was how I would work. If the baby was healthy, it would be on my floor. If the baby was not so healthy, it would go to NICU. So like I knew what would a well baby look like and what a not so well baby would look like. So being that I was in the NICU, now I felt comfortable, because I knew that I had either, this would have been the baby that I handed off to them, or some sort of derivative of that. And then there was also the ones that we knew were automatic NICU admissions, you know, if there were surgical cases or cardiac cases or things like that. So like I started off with the babies that were level 2. So the nurseries are level 1 in the institution that I work for. So I occasionally dealt with level 1 babies, and they were just babies that needed either some sort of respiratory support, glucose, an IV, like IV dextrose or things like that. Not so serious, but still not quite enough to be a NICU admission. I would occasionally get those babies. So then now I moved into the NICU and I was doing the level 2 babies. So the babies that moved on from the nursery to the NICU, or some babies that required more oxygen, or a little premature babies, things like that. And level 2 was somewhere I felt comfortable because it kind of felt like where I was before. So I didn't feel like I was a fish out of water or dealing with patients that weren't, like, I wasn't capable of, or things like that. So then as I was transitioning into the NICU, I requested if I could see or shadow orient, whatever you want to put it, in level 3, which is the babies that are intubated, the super micronates, babies that are very, very sick. In my hospital, we only go up to level 3. So they were like, sure, I mean, if you feel comfortable, let's do it. So I was shadowing in level 3, and that's where I felt the best. Like, I felt like I can do my patient care, and it was just somewhere I felt that I belonged. These babies are very sick and they need help, and that's what I'm here for. And that's what I wanted. Like, granted, people would tell me all the time, I don't know how you do what you do. Or the parents would come in and say, you're an angel, I'm so grateful for you. But truthfully, it's just that I know that these babies are sick and they need help, and that's what I'm here to do. And it's mainly a point of helping the parents understand where they're at in their health, in that phase of their life. It's like you have to also help them adjust to the situation. So it's like, if you can do your best to get them involved in the care, it would be great. It depends on the patient's acuity and whatnot, but if you can have the parents take the temperature or change the diaper, that makes their day, because they feel like they're doing something rather than just sitting and waiting until they get better. So for me, I feel like NICU is exactly where I need to be. So much so that I applied to do a per diem in another NICU in another hospital. And I love it so much that it's like I don't ever feel like I dread to go to work, or like I don't want to deal with these patients, or I don't want to deal with these parents. Like, I just know that the babies need help and they need care, and that's what I'm there for. Granted, there could be some parents that could be outlandish or very needy or whatever, and that I put that aside. Granted, if my patients are stable and I've made sure that I've done all my care, and if they need something and it's not going to put me behind them taking care of the baby, I'm going to try to do whatever it is I can to make that parent happy, because it is their baby and their baby is sick and they need help. So like it's just like, it's a lot. It's dealing with the parents and the patients, so it's something that you have to juggle. But if you can do it, make sure that you help them adjust, socially to this new environment of their life. But the reason why I feel like NICU is for me is because I was in their shoes where I didn't even want to touch a baby, and this baby is so healthy. My friends' kids at home, or a niece or a nephew, obviously they're healthy enough to be home, so they're healthy enough to be held by strangers. So if I was scared to hold a baby there, could you imagine a baby that was born at 23 weeks and they've been alive now 2 months, and the parents are now able to carry their baby or whatever? You have to understand that it's scary. It's scary to see all those lines and tubes and everything like that. So I try to put myself in their shoes and try to understand where they're at. Being that you never see something like this to seeing all of this, it's hard, and I understand that. So I feel like it's maybe been perfect for me to be where I'm at, so that I can help them adjust to being comfortable to this new setting. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm very happy where I'm at, and I don't see myself leaving this environment for a while, because the ability to leave and the ability to grow in nursing is there, and Not that I don't have those opportunities where I'm at, because I do. It's just I do see that I want to go back to school, I want to grow, but where I'm at right now, I'm very happy with, and I do see myself staying there for a good amount of time. That's pretty much it for this video. I feel like I've been rambling for days, but you know, this is just how I got this position and where I came from to where I'm at now. And it's truthfully been a blessing, and I love it to no end. It doesn't feel like work to me, and I think that's the best thing that could be. If you can find a job that you don't feel like you're going to work to every day, or you're dreading Mondays kind of thing, then you're in the place that you need to be. And I hope you guys find that. I hope you guys find this video informative and not wasteful. I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.